I believe that is the intro song for today's show. Welcome to a brand new edition of the CantinaMX Podcast. Hosting for you tonight, my name is Daniel Perciado, subbing in for John Jagu, who is joining us, I guess, on the road.
Yes, that's correct. I am right now just south of Waco, luckily able to escape the gas-free zone of Dallas-Fort Worth. And I was actually able to put a little gas in my car and head home. I actually got to work a really cool we were supposed to do the preseason game between the Cowboys and Texans. It was moved to Dallas and then canceled. But tonight they ended up doing a telethon. And in the middle of the telethon, Jerry Jones pledged $1 million to the disaster relief efforts for the folks who in Southeast Texas that had just been hammered by Hurricane Harvey. And he actually did it on the air live, talking to Des Bryant on the phone. Really well. It was a great moment. It was a lot of fun to be part of. Just a really cool way to help folks raise money. So was enjoyed. Happy to be part of that. Happy to be part of the show, and happy to jump in and talk to about our wonderful world of soccer.
Well, we're glad you're able to make it with us, John. Next down the list, we have Albert El Chiquis Campa.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Are we on air? I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see that we're on air. Okay. I just want to make sure. How's it going today? Anything interesting happened this week for you?
Nah.
Drying out?
Yeah, we're drying out. Yeah, leaks in the house that are going to get fixed soon. It's pretty
Chiquis, you had it a little worse than I did. I live about 40 miles as the crow flies west of you. So you were getting hit by some of the nastier bands, and it was raining, don't get me wrong. But you probably ended up with, 10 inches of rain from Friday to Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. I've seen worse, though. The wind messed up a lot of things, though. There was a lot of wind and sideways rain and things like that.
Yeah, but, I was in a panic Thursday night because the forecast said that we were getting sustained winds of like 40 to 50 with gusts up to 80 the entire weekend. And houses in the U.S., with all due respect, are made out of toothpicks and chalk, and nothing was going to withstand that. But luckily for us, in Austin at least, it wasn't nearly as bad as the forecast. I'm sure
Well, we're definitely glad that you guys came out of it relatively unscathed. Hopefully our folks that we have in Houston are getting through it okay. But I guess we have a bit of a skeleton crew. Not too bad. We have Joel Aceves in Los Angeles. Good evening, Joel. How are you?
Good, John. Dan. First I have it.
No, that's okay. It happens.
First I have it. Just right here enjoying the games. There's been a busy schedule of games today. World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, it's a busy day. Just to go over some of the talks that we'll be covering today, we'll be obviously discussing World Cup qualifying, the upcoming matches for Mexico and CONCACAF, as well as some of the other qualifying that's going on around the world. But before we do get into that, we do want to discuss Copa MX. We had some. Was that the last round of?
No, that? Some teams still have a game to go.
I believe Joel requested an opening tirade about Copa MX.
I don't have my theme song anymore. I used to have
Well, you'll have it next week.
I think.
Well, Joel does have the conch, so he go ahead and unleash.
Release the Kraken.
Yeah, release the Kraken. I'm assuming this is going to be something about Chivas and their wonderful.
No, just overall, teams have been taking the cup a bit more serious, and something John mentioned earlier. Since a lot of the teams aren't playing other tournaments, they focused on this one as well. They just giving it more respect. But I feel that teams have noticed how like just winning,
Esta
you
canción,
know.
la que canto y no te encanto, la que dice.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Oh, okay.
Got the mute.
I thought we had a caller. So no, because winning it will help you overall. It boosts the team confidence, even the fans' confidence. Something we saw help with Chivas, where they weren't doing too good in the league, but they were winning Copa MX, and it was just helping the team not be in such a bad place. Sort of happening again with Chivas that can't win in the season, but they're through to the next round of Copa MX, which it just softens the blow, of a bad season. And so we're seeing it with, like, for example, Cruz Azul beating Tigres, and in the past, it would have gotten a shrug, but just being that some of these teams are taking it more serious now, it's kind of being seen as a pretty big win.
Joel, it's I agree with you, and I just wish that if they could figure out a way to that it's not such a drag on the personnel to where they're forced. Not that I don't want to see other people get an opportunity, but there's no reason to have for each team to play 8 cup games before they get to the knockout stage. So if they found some way to be able to reduce the number of games to the point where the games do become more important, as you say, as you do take it more seriously. I mean, it seems like Copa MX to me has a real opportunity to become something much more than what it is. And as you said, the fact that there aren't any teams playing outside tournaments right now, like the Conca Champions or Libertadores or Sudamericana, it's allowing all 18 teams to participate, all the clubs in the Ascenso are playing against each other. And I personally like watching Copa MX games because I think they are incredibly entertaining. I did get to watch. Sorry, Dan, but I did watch the Chivas Santos games. It was a slog because it was just pouring rain in Guadalajara. but the game was, despite that, was still very entertaining. And I mean, I really wanted to see how things worked out. And then Chivas scored a goal that Chiripa when a ball literally just bounced off a guy. I think it was Saldivar into the net.
Yeah.
And you're right, Joel. Chivas having a rough season in the league, but in Copa MX, if they haven't already qualified for the quarterfinals,
they did. They're through to the next round.
Yeah, so
Santos needs to win their next game. Dan, it's not lost. One win puts them through.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm hoping that they continue more so than anything, just to allow some of the other guys some first team action. My boy Ronaldo Cisneros had a rough go. It was a tough game.
Yeah.
Especially for someone like him, the conditions weren't favorable. Wasn't able to do much. But yeah, that's what happens sometimes. But
I got Chep Guardiola's quote on the game, Dan, if you want to hear it.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
So I'm a translate.
Just say it in Spanish, dude.
He says, but this for English speakers.
Oh.
We did not have a good game. Conditions, the conditions weren't for a more lucid match. Or how would you guys translate lucidor?
Free flowing.
Free flowing. Yeah, fluid. Yeah, free flowing.
So yeah, he admits that Chivas were the better team, and he says we lacked control of the ball. We weren't able to adapt to the circumstances, and in the end, they took advantage of their opportunity.
Well, it makes sense, Joel, because I mean, how often does it rain like that in Torreon? Like never. So it's not something in that conditions that Santos is ever used to playing.
And they asked him about
they are in a desert.
They asked him about the game being played despite the FIFA dates, he said there's no excuses. He says the calendar was set since the beginning, and no one said anything then, so no one should complain now.
Did Santos lose any players to the FIFA day?
I don't know, to be honest. That's Dan.
Nestor.
Dan?
Oh, yeah, the defender, huh?
Nestor.
Who apparently is hurt. I guess we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But,
yeah, so they have one game left. He said, we have one match and we have to win it. So Dan, I think they will be in the next round.
Who do they got?
I think it's Juarez or I think it's FC Juarez.
Well, I mean, I'm still a little bit late, I guess, on getting really into the competition. I'm still more concerned with the league itself, but still, my team's showed signs of turning it around. So they came up with a win over the weekend. So that kind of softens the blow from the loss from was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah. Well, Dan, I had something I saved, and I saved because I saw it, and it was a critique on Santos, and it was made by pretty it was a fan group of the Comarca Lagunera. So this is their critique. It says this is the reality of Santos since Orlegui took control. It says the quality of the squad has lowered. It says since 2015, Santos is characterized for having limited squad. He says a good set of starters, but the quality lowers once you get to the bench. And it says when you have so I'm just going to say it in Spanish because my translating is not good right now. Dice, con titulares bien definidos, pero carente de variantes en la banca para sortear los imprevistos propios del fútbol.
Yeah, so it says that that they have a good starting 11, but they don't have enough on the bench to react to the many different things that happen in the world of soccer during a game.
I'm gonna finish it.
They basically have the same kind of play, yeah.
And then John can translate it. He's better at that. Says la lesión de Izquierdos evidenció la mala planeación del plantel. La delantera es incapaz de convertir las oportunidades en goles. El técnico trabaja con lo que tiene y el equipo hace lo que le alcanza. Pero se niegan a hablar de crisis, falta autocrítica en el club.
Well, it seems to me, Joel, that I think that the fans have forgotten that Santos is no longer owned by one of the world's biggest breweries.
Grupo Modelo, right?
Basically private citizens, yeah.
I mean, it's true what he's saying. I mean, yeah, the team isn't very deep. They have a pretty decent starting 11, and yeah, there's not a whole lot of options to change things up or to. Yeah, I mean that's all true, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you're not going to somehow just get an influx of money that's going to just allow you to buy whoever you want, like you were able to in the past. I think the philosophy of the team, at least in my opinion, seems to be going the route of having a team.
Youth.
Yeah, basically building up the youth system so that's going to be the base of your team moving forward. That's not going to be. It's not going to be overnight.
Yeah, it's going to take. If you're working with youth, I'm going to use Chivas as an example. It took him about 4 years because.
Well, I think you're being optimistic. I was thinking realistically. I mean, to sustain, to really put up a really quality team, mostly based on your youth teams, on your youth system. That's going to be 10 years before you really start.
Yeah, Yeah, you have to
because
maintain
you have to
same.
develop you have to develop the reputation as a place where youth players are developed, and you have to be able to develop not just enough youth players for your own team, but if you're going that route, then you also want to be able to sell some guys. So you almost have to develop as much, but almost like 1.5 times as much as what you need in order for that particular system to work. And again, without having the backing of a gigantic company like some of the other teams in Liga MX enjoy, it's it's something that Pumas is going through right now. I mean, Pumas is, as Martin pointed out last week, I mean, their cantera has essentially, 10 years. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, and for someone like me who grew up watching Pumas and seeing how many quality players emerged from from the club from the mid 70s, through the 2000s. I mean, it was really absolutely impressive that they were able to maintain such an incredible level of uh, of of, of excellence as far as developing top notch players that could have honestly played anywhere in the world, not just in Liga MX. When you think of some of the guys that came out of there, but that has dried up, and now, I mean, it's going to take Pumas, as Dan pointed out, at least 5 to 10 years to even come close to getting back to that. So yeah, it's. I applaud the team for doing it, but it's going to be a while.
Yeah, and I think what I guess realistically speaking, I know I came into the season with high hopes. Obviously, I didn't ever expect the injury to Izquierdos affect the team this greatly. Obviously, there's other things going on too. I mean, I don't see how him not being there affects the strikers from putting in their chances.
Well, I think that what it does is that he was really good on set pieces. He's good at those, so that takes the pressure off. I mean, not that that's the only reason, but he's good for 4 or 5 goals a year. And when a team has a problem scoring, set pieces are, But that's why you need a guy like Chaton in there to pick up the slack on the set pieces, because he can certainly provide you that as well. I still have hopes. I still have hopes for Chaton.
You're his biggest
I don't
fan.
think all is lost with him. all I'm saying is, for you folks that are listening, we had Martin del Palacio on last week, and Martin said, talking about the national team, that he said that Osorio is desperate for that stopper, hyper defensive midfielder, to kind of like the missing piece of what Mexico needs in Osorio's system in order to succeed. And when I see a player like Chaton, who in the U20 when they played in Colombia and in the Olympics was not that he was the most dynamic guy or the best passer, but he snuffed out so many offensive chances from the other team, and he was able to quickly dispossess. And he didn't have to make the perfect 40-yard pass, but he could make the 10-yard pass to the next guy that was available, and that to me is almost just as important. So yeah, I mean, for a guy like and those defensive midfielders right now are they're just non-existent in Mexico. They're as evidenced by the national team. He hasn't even called any up because they don't exist. And to me, it's the most important position on the field.
So I'm not sure if that's maybe a good segue to get into the national team, since we have talked about the Copa for a bit, and we kind of deviated from that. So I don't know. Let's get into the qualifiers. You started mentioning some of the defensive midfielders. Is anyone surprised, or has anyone been keeping up with the latest news that we do have a defensive midfielder that seems to be getting a little bit more love, who wasn't called up? He's playing in Belgium. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
No.
So yeah, his name is Gobea. He I believe was playing was with the Porto B team, and he's recently made a move to not a very big team in Belgium, but he's actually getting starts, and He's actually gotten a couple of goals. He's been getting some attention, and I don't know. I mean, I know it's awfully soon, so I wasn't too surprised. I wasn't expecting him to be called, but that is someone that we. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a really good season in Europe that he will get see himself in the World Cup. Surprised none of you guys
What
have
was
heard
his
of
name
him.
again, Dan? What was his name
Gobea?
again, Dan? Oh, Gobea. He was
Omar Gobea. He's playing for Royal Excel Mouscron.
What?
like Burnley, something at one point.
He's
Yeah.
on low.
You know what though? It's laugh if you guys want, but the guy's getting his starts. He's young, and he's clearly playing well. He's making him like he's being highlighted as far as post games, and he's been able to get some goals. So from that position, he's and being just brand new to the team, brand new to the league, he's doing really well. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest, especially considering the lack of options in that position. Because we need our center backs that play defensive midfielder that's available to play fullback. So it would be nice to have another option at defensive mid. But that was the one guy that I kind of wanted to mention just because he is getting a little bit of attention, and then also additionally someone else who maybe, depending on how things go for him, he's also still young, and he also, I believe, was also part of the Porto B team. Raúl Godinho, who I believe Apoel FC. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not. Have you guys heard of that team?
Right. He made the big jump. He's going to play. He's going to be the only Mexican in Champions League this year.
Yes. He gets to go up against Real Madrid.
Wait,
Tottenham.
that's if he's a starter. I mean, is he going to be a starter or a backup?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think people are assuming he's going to be a starter. I'm not so sure either because of his age.
I
but
mean,
if
if I'm a Champions League team, why would I, use like an inexperienced goalkeeper? Especially if he doesn't belong to me. I don't.
Well, yeah. Why would Porto loan him out if they're not going to play him?
Well, I mean, they'll play him in the cup games. I mean, Porto's not using him either. So I mean, it's another Ulises Davila going to turn into a journeyman. And a year or two, we'll see him back in We'll see him in the draft.
Some schlep team like Santos.
that is where Davila ended up.
All right, bye guys.
Oh man,
Unfollowed.
You take his ball and go home.
I had such high hopes for Davila. He withered away, man.
I mean, he scored such great goals when he was at the Toulon tournament, and that team Joel with had Davila, Cubo, and Chaton. And then there were some other players, and I can't remember what all of the names were, but that's like a lost generation. I mean, they just, they ended up in third place in that tournament, if I'm not mistaken. They made it all the way to third place. And they just, I mean, there's not one player out of all of those that has graduated and consolidated himself onto the national team now, which is, again, typically what normally happens in U20 teams. I mean, that's not necessarily an aberration, but usually out of a U20, there's going to be maybe that does end up, just can't miss guys that end up doing really well. That U20 group there just hasn't been anybody, and as evidenced by the fact that by some of the players that Osorio is going to have to use for things. It's Panama, right? That they play first. It's Panama, and Honduras does not win. So if they tie or lose to Trinidad and Tobago, which frankly is very possible, then Mexico qualifies for the World Cup, and they will know because that game is actually on before the Mexico game. So Mexico will take the field knowing that if they win against Panama, they could qualify for the World Cup.
I think it's a. Well, go ahead, Beto.
I was just saying, Panama coming in with some confidence from this one unknown guy that caused a little bustle.
More than confidence, though. They're playing for their World Cup lives right now.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, Panama. When was the last time Panama lost to Mexico? Well, I guess the Gold Cup in 2015. But I mean, even that loss was iffy at best. You know, outside of that, Panama has a pretty good record against Mexico. So yeah, you guys are right. They should have no. I mean, they should, it is not going to scare them. Now they are missing some guys. A couple of guys are injured. So Panama won't be completely at full strength, but you know it's.
I think as long as someone like Vela or especially Tecatito, if they're available, I think that's going to be the difference maker.
Vela's going to ride.
That's the wild card that's going to be able to steal the game, even if the team isn't functioning all that well, which it probably won't be. But based on the call-up list, obviously he doesn't want to leave anything to chance.
As well he should.
Yeah, no, I think all things considered, I know some people were, and myself included, at least initially, was hoping that these games would be, you know, just more practice games, you know, a way to allow some of the players, the more consolidated players, to just stay with their own teams and hopefully, you know, cement themselves with their own teams, and then give some chances to some of the other fringe players to see how they manage, but. Considering how that Gold Cup went, I don't blame the call up and saying, you know, yeah, we have one foot in the door, but let's just go ahead and shore this up, and then maybe we can start tinkering a little bit more. So I do think it's pretty predictable lineup, that predictable call up list. I'm not overly concerned with Panama. I do think that they have a lot to play for. But they don't have exactly the history of coming through and to expect them to take 3 points.
Well, they have no history
at the Azteca. I don't see that happening.
Wait, sirs. Before we continue, didn't Chiquis here have a clip for us of good guy Osorio speaking?
Yeah.
Unas fallas, Chiqui. Where's that at?
I was gonna preface it with something, but this is what he had to say.
No.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I forgot what I was gonna preface it with. But yeah, this is
put him on a spot, Hood.
This one.
Were you gonna preface it with the fact that he's kind of changed his tune with what he said earlier about European players coming stateside, or?
I didn't grab that initially. I grabbed the little play on words, the change on words, the flip flop on words that he's doing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
That's the clip.
Fired up.
He's no longer calling rotations.
Yeah, check it out. Here we go.
Entonces consideramos que los factores por los cuales siempre hemos considerado alternativas tácticas y no la palabra que usted utilizó.
So there you go. Alternative tactics instead of rotations.
Wow. Yeah, he says that rotations have it's become negative, the word. So he said it has a negative root.
So let's call it something different.
And before that clip,
I think
he supports his idea by mentioning two coaches, like one for Sevilla and one for this other team.
I got it.
Deeper.
Do you know the full clip, Chiquis?
Yeah, I got that one too, but I didn't want to play that whole thing. Want me to play it? Here goes.
No, at least the other one, you could finish it, the alternative tactics clip.
Oh, yeah, before when he's talking about the coaches?
No, okay, because he says, hemos considerado alternativas tácticas porque la otra palabra, referencing rotation, parece que tiene una raíz negativa. And he says, es que existe una competencia interna.
Negativa, creemos que siempre lo hemos hecho por las mismas razones, porque generar competencia interna desde nuestra gestión.
Yeah, so it's going to generate internal competition between the players, so their spot isn't secure, and they're not just sitting around.
Well, for someone who doesn't pay attention to what the media says, he sure sounds like he's changing his choice of words to
Just to
combat that argument. So he's clearly paying attention to I don't think most people. I think they bring it up because it's easy to mention, but I don't think, by and large, the rotations, or now what is it? Alternative
tactics.
Alternative
tactics.
That's a, fluid tactics.
See again. So again, Osorio has failed the PR portion of this. So they obviously came up with the word, right? So you come up with the word, and then you just leave the word as is. You don't have to explain why you came up with the word. So because now if things,
it defeats the purpose. You're basically just saying it's a synonym as opposed to just trying to like mask it as something else.
Yeah, exactly. Or say it and kind of laugh when you say it and say, yes, I'm saying something different, but don't say we're now with what we do with our well, let's just say alternative tactics, instead of that word that it's like he's now assigned the word of rotaciones is now like the Voldemort of his.
And it's silly too because I think it's been well
tendencies.
established that one, it's something that he does, and I don't think he needs to be backing down from it, especially not after all this time.
Well, check it out, gentlemen. He's trying to sell that. He's trying to sell the rotations.
But that's my whole point. Like that's my. I don't think he needs to be selling anything.
Well, he is, and this is one of his main selling points, because he says a big reason for that is an internal competition between players, and he says he went on to say, el ejemplo de esa competencia es Irving Lozano, que ha competido con sus compañeros, como lo han hecho otros jugadores, and he names Jürgen Damm, and who have to compete against the likes of Carlos Vela and Jesus Corona. But he's saying that Chucky has benefited from that. Like look at him now. He's in Europe, and it's because he got playing time.
I don't agree with that though.
Yeah, no, that's total horse shit. I mean,
he was going regardless.
Yeah, he was the best player in the league. He was going to go to Europe.
I don't think he's taking this all seriously though. I'm thinking he's just saying that just to mess with the press, just to show that they just are spazzing out on the whole rotations word, and so he's changing it. But he's still sticking to his guns. He's sticking to his concept that rotation and alternative tactics are still.
But he's humoring them, which I think is personally a sign of weakness. I mean, if you have a system, you have a philosophy, stick to it. And if you want to just avoid some of it and call it something different, then call it something different and don't reference it, because you just look weak and you look like you're kind of like apologizing on some level to your critics.
He's trying to like get into their heads, like convert them to his religion and stuff. His religion of rotation.
Well, there's only one way to convert followers, and that's to perform miracles.
Yeah, but he's using the example of other miracle, like European coaches, aka miracle.
Yeah, sometimes I want to root for the guy, because he's obviously coaching the team, and you want him to do well. But sometimes he comes up with a lot of nonsense, and I mean, he just earlier he was mentioning about like if you're going to go to a crappy league, make sure you're the leader of that of the team. So like now he's basically trying to put the spin on it and making it sound like being in the MLS is good as long as you're the focal point and the leader of your team.
Well, he backtracked on that already, probably inadvertently, but in an interview with TDN, and he talked about how the mentality of the Dos Santos brothers and Vela should be, I have the quality to be in Europe and I should be in Europe. And then he said it's for the good of Mexican soccer. I think that was like his fail-safe, adding that part.
I think his backing of his rotations and all that needs to, instead of the example of Juki and going to Europe, his example needs to be like put fear in players like Chicharito and Vela and say, hey, if Vela went to MLS, if he doesn't keep, he's not going to be playing or whatever, if he doesn't play well in MLS, his spot is Chucky's there for the taking, or whoever else is there for the taking.
Oh no, that's not.
So then he's not really backing up. He's not putting the best player there. Carlos Vela, just by name alone, is going to be starting just because. Or I don't think he's going to even start though. I think Tecatito took his spot.
Well, Vela and Chucky don't really necessarily play the same position. I think they actually play on opposite sides most of the time.
He cannot start Tecatito and Corona, or Tecatito and Irving at the same time. He just can't do it.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the difference where
you play them you play them both 45 minutes. That's just
and have them go all out.
Exactly.
That's actually a pretty good strategy because you get like, I personally would rather have start the game with Tecatito just because he's got I think he's just got a little bit more magic.
Yeah, Tecatito is ahead of everybody, even Vela, in my opinion.
And the good thing for Tecatito is that he's been scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
And according to Osorio, Tecatito is Mexico's Neymar. I still remember he said that.
Well, call him whatever top-notch player you can think of that represents a country, and that's going to be he absolutely. I mean, he had the potential. He alone had the single potential to make Osorio look like a genius had he gone to Russia. I think he's
the only player that has the individual ball skill to make things happen. Period. End of story. No other Mexican player has the ball skill that Tecatito has. The guy that can weave through the tightest of spaces, keep possession, and rip off a shot. Mexico just doesn't have players like Tecatito. They don't develop. But
to be fair, there's very few players that can do that. That sombrerito they did over the weekend was just stupid.
That was outrageously good. Yeah. You guys are very.
I definitely think he's absolutely the wild card where he's going to make Mexico. He's going to be able to make up for a lot of shortcomings, a lot of lacking in quality. If he's on his game, he's got a chance to just erase a lot of that difference in quality that we're gonna be facing in the World Cup, and that we did in Russia. I really do think that had he been in there, it would have given the other team a whole lot more to think about. And I have to think that he probably would have gotten maybe a goal or here or there and would have either pushed the team to either win a game or at least make it a lot more competitive, thinking like the Germany game. Because he also doesn't, at least from what I've seen, he also seems to be a little bit more mentally strong and not really affected by the moment as much as Chucky has shown that he could be affected by it. It's pecho frios, as our friend Joel likes to say. So I think that's the one thing that Osorio has that's going to end up saving his ass, no matter what happens. As long as he's on the field, I think especially against CONCACAF competition, they're going to win. He did it against Honduras. And it wouldn't surprise me if he did it again tomorrow.
And he scored a pretty good goal against Canada too in Mexico City, where he makes like 8 moves and keeps the ball and somehow puts the goal in the net. So I'm actually really surprised, and I know that it's just because I'm a big fan that a team did not take a chance on him in this transfer market. Seriously. Because next year in the transfer market, if you're saying, if what you're saying rather, say Mexico makes the quarterfinals because Tecatito has 4 goals in the World Cup, his price went from what, 5-6 million to 30.
Well, I think he's worth a lot of money now.
Like
I think I have trouble believing that there weren't teams sniffing around for him.
Well, the worst thing that could have happened to Porto was for him not to play the Confederations Cup, specifically for that reason, because he probably would have gone for $30-40 million if he'd had a good Confederations Cup. So I'm sure that very upset to and obviously whatever happened was very dire, because players don't just leave the national team like that for a tournament like that and then ever come back. At least not immediately. And he's coming back immediately. So whatever happened for him to miss the World Cup obviously was a situation that he had to resolve, and he obviously was going to be worthless in Russia, knowing that he had to take care of something. So yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do. See you afterwards. So whatever it was, it obviously had to be pretty.
And to, on the bright side of things, better he have these issues now than a year from now. So I guess,
Yeah. Or maybe Osorio said, I don't want to
tip my card
like 8 moves ahead. And it's like, I don't want to show this guy off until I have to.
Genius Osorio.
Yeah. Maybe he's just thinking 4 or 5 moves ahead of everybody.
But honestly speaking, though, I mean, he really does add a whole huge dynamic to the team as far as options go. Just him having him there, even if you want to bring him in as a sub, it just gives you a whole lot more options, just a bazillion more options, and it makes the whole attacking third just look, frankly, scary. It's the rest of the team that's
the thing that I like about both of them and only playing one of them is that if you play both of them, and like when they played against Chile, like they both started against Chile, Tecatito and Lozano and Chicharito, but that was like the absolute wrong team to do that against because they just didn't. Well, aside from the fact that they just played like the worst game they had in 40 years, it was, to me, it was like why blow your wad like that against a team when you don't have any aces in the hole, so keep one on the bench. So that in the last half hour, you can throw Tecatito out there or Lozano out there to, if it's a tight game, to really cause some havoc. So maybe against Panama, that he goes ahead and starts both of them, because that is a game that is much more conducive to Mexico possessing the ball and actually being able to use what they both can do.
MJP on the chat says he's another cabrito.
Hey, and I'm totally fine with that, except God love him. As great as he was, had just so many chances to make his career just 1,000 times better had he just put one of those frickin' goals in. I was asking for just one of them. Oof. See, now you're bringing up. If I had the sad music right now, I would play the sad music.
Sad flute, John.
Because every time I think about the sad flute, because every time I think about France '98 and think about what could have Mexico. If Mexico beats Germany, that they could easily have made the final of that tournament, easily.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, maybe not the final, but definitely the semifinal. They would have given Croatia a game.
Were we missing 2 players on injury? I know Ramon Ramirez. It's injury and suspension.
Yeah, because they had to put a defender in. Another person who's thank you for the stat. I appreciate that. Yes, it's that one more than any other World Cup to me was the one that it was tough.
I have to be honest. I think I've been disappointed with all of them on some level, man. Like.
Yeah, but
with the call-ups, with like Chicharito not starting, was it in 2010? Was it
South Africa?
Yeah,
jeez, I couldn't believe it.
Memo not getting the nod. Not thought that necessarily made a difference, but still, Jonathan not even making it. Even back then, a lot of us thought that he was probably the best midfielder that Mexico had.
No, I was okay. I was okay with that.
Oh, I wasn't. Absolutely not. I mean, I think he had just shown enough to at least, hey, man, at least give him the reps and see if he could see how he looks against the starters.
I don't think he would have started though. He wouldn't have played at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, but like we'll never know. But I definitely thought that was just these last 2 World Cups. I honestly thought that it was some of our best chances of seeing the team reach the quinto partido and maybe beyond. But I've personally been extremely disappointed, and now I'm like, this is kind of like their last hurrah. They're going into it limping. I'm not expecting much. I don't think any of us are expecting much. The one hope is that I have is that some of that individual talent will be able to carry us and make up for some of the deficiencies, some of the clear deficiencies that we have. Keeping in mind like the fullback situation. I know we talked at length about that last week as well, but there's not a single fullback being called up for these qualifiers.
You mean a wing back?
Yeah.
No, last week. But Dedos Lopez did get called in, but of course he's going to play him as a winger anyway, so it's not like he's actually going to play him as a fullback. But
good point. But it's a good point because that's probably it. You're probably right. That is probably where he's going to be playing.
Right.
I saw one lineup. I saw one lineup with what's the guys from Pumas on the left wing?
Gallardo.
Yeah, that was his. Like
he's actually. See, thanks to Osorio, he's actually playing that position now at Pumas. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what's happening now. So thanks a lot, Osorio. But let's not talk about Pumas, please, because if Pumas isn't a DEFCON 2, they need to be. So that's all I have to say about.
They were spared today, weren't they?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's crazy rain going on in Mexico City as well. It's not just here in Texas.
Yeah,
they had one of the worst storms they've had in a while.
I believe they postponed it.
Yeah, they postponed it for Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the field was full of water. And this wasn't like a big team, so this might have been their chance. I don't know what you guys call that kind of team, but
it was Celaya. Gordiguapa? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that.
A slump buster, yeah.
I was egging you guys, but yeah, this might have been their chance for.
You're a good Mormon. You can't be using that kind of language. So.
What kind of language is that?
But you know what though? The assumption that a Gordiguapa is easy, dude. That's incorrect, man.
That's why they're guapa.
Yeah, no, the guapa is guapa, dude. I mean, some of us like our women a little thicker. That's all.
Especially
if they're guapa.
Especially when we're like pale.
Yeah. Anyways, but I don't want to start going too much into that. Especially
that's a topic Beto. For a different podcast altogether.
Yeah, that's one that Ronnie needs to be on, I think. And we don't want our good friend Beto to get in trouble.
Measure my words.
But yeah, so what are you guys thinking about the games that are coming up overall? Are we going to be qualified like 100%? Are we going to be looking? What do you guys think?
Honestly, I don't think that Mexico will qualify.
After these two games, you don't think they'll be qualified?
They'll beat Panama but lose to Costa Rica, and they won't officially be qualified. They'll be qualified for the fourth place spot, qualified for the World Cup until they beat Trinidad, is what I think.
Wow. Was it Joel? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, same. I expect a win over Panama at home. And then maybe not so much of a good game at Costa Rica, simply because alternative tactics are gonna, take precedence. And the Ticos, man, this is a big game for them, hosting Mexico, and especially in the World Cup qualifier, they see it as a final. That to them is like a championship final. And if we don't go over there with everything, they'll make us pay for it. And so yeah, a defeat might sour their the fecha FIFA.
Not only that, Joel, but if Costa Rica, I don't mean to interrupt you, but if Costa Rica loses against the U.S., then that game against Mexico becomes extremely important for Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Because if they miss out on getting the points home points, then they have to start worrying about between third and fourth.
But I think that plays into Mexico's hand, to be honest with you. Having a team desperate against Mexico,
It does that, but we've talked about just how the quality of Mexico drops from, when we see like he could do 8 changes just because he wants to.
Well,
because that's just what he does, Ocho cambios, and that could lower the level of play, and we've seen it multiple times now.
Yeah, obviously, I think it depends on how many players are subbed for the following game. Where if we see a more domestic-based team, then yeah, I think it's probably gonna got the potential for some ugliness, for sure. But I don't know. I guess I'm agreeing with you guys that yeah. But what needs to happen for Mexico? Can Mexico officially qualify by beating Panama?
They would officially qualify if they beat Panama and Honduras does not win.
And they're playing Trinidad, correct?
They're playing Trinidad, and I believe they're playing Trinidad. Well, shit, actually, they might be on the road because I think they play the U.S. next.
Yeah, they're on the road.
They're on the road?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and say that Mexico qualifies out of this.
Well, that does change things. I thought that they were at home.
Yeah, I don't trust Honduras on the road, in basically what amounts to a must-win game.
Did y'all see who Honduras called up? Their bombero.
Costly?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, as a player,
I don't know why they wouldn't. No, as a player.
Player coach.
How old is
And
that?
then you come to find out. He's only like 34. It's like I thought he was in his 40s at this point.
All right, 34, not bad. Not bad, costly.
Well, the fact that he's 34 makes me wonder why haven't they been using him the whole hex?
Well, I had read that the coach had alienated some players. So early on, I guess he wanted to try different players, and some of the more established ones just didn't like being left out, and I think they boycotted the team.
The nerve of them.
Well, I mean, they make money through that, so especially with some of these smaller teams like that, it's, some of this politics play in.
Yeah, so I think just to go back, I think Mexico qualifies after this game, after this first round of games, and then we lose on the second game. But
no, it's not like Mexico. I mean, they lost the last time in Costa Rica, but usually they play Costa Rica pretty well.
Yeah, I think just going into it, the circumstances are gonna be most important. Go ahead, finish your thoughts.
Well,
Sorry about that.
It's gonna be a cascarita for Mexico for sure if they've already qualified. But you know what? I mean, that they could play spoil. I mean, and if he's doing this whole, and again, maybe Osorio's doing this whole rotaciones thing, thinking that, the end game is the World Cup. So think of this, guys, as a 3-year audition for the World Cup. So that's why he's using this many players. So maybe even if they are not playing a necessarily competitive game for them, it's still a competitive game for the players because they're still trying to, trying to be one of the ones that ends up making the World Cup.
Yeah, that's. We can hope that, John.
See, I am just the eternal. Dan, you and I are good.
We are
pumpers.
Yeah, we need to be picking each other up every once in a while when one of us kind of lags on that because we got plenty of negativity to go enough with the rest of the crew. So that, we do need to put a positive spin on things just to make sure we don't all become suicidal. But
That's
yeah,
exactly right.
going along with your theme though. I mean, I don't know if he's responsible or not, but I mean, Edson's going to be, he's going to be playing his first World Cup. I'm sure he's a big fan of Osorio, and I think I could probably speak for everybody. I think we're all happy that he's kind of joining the fray. So I mean, it's not all bad with Osorio. I mean, even for us who are extremely critical of him, there are some definitely positives. That I think is one of them. I can't think of a whole lot more right now, to be honest with you. But I'm still hoping that maybe that somehow they get lucky. They figure it out and they're able to bring it together. I'm still not really holding my breath. I think ultimately playing fullbacks, playing center backs on over on the wings. I just don't think it's going to be. I think they show those signs of we're just going to be so totally susceptible to counterattacks because we just don't have speed to recover. And I don't think he's doing anything to. I mean, he didn't. He could have called in. He could have called in Paulo Aguilar. He's having a pretty decent season, and he chose not to. So I mean, Layun, I believe he may be. I'm not exactly sure why he wasn't called. I believe that there might have been something that he was working on or something, but I didn't hear anything about him being transferred, so I don't really know. It's probably just a lack of playing time, but that doesn't seem to hurt other players being called up. So, but yeah, that's I'm not sure if you guys want to talk about some of the other qualifiers that went on today. I know we were talking about a little bit before the show started in CONMEBOL. We had a surprise. I'm not sure if they're talking about it in Mexico because I know we like to especially the media, they really like to glorify Chile for every little thing they do and how wonderful and world class they are. But they suffered a pretty bad defeat today. They lost.
What was the score, Dan?
I believe they lost 3-0 to Paraguay.
Yeah.
Not exactly. I'm not sure. I didn't watch the game. I can't tell. I can't say how they looked or if it was that bad. But I mean, that for being such a. I mean, and we all know. I mean, not to diminish the how difficult it is to qualify in CONMEBOL, but you figure a team that's so well praised and so well thought of would be in a slightly more comfortable position at this point in qualifying.
They got off the wrong foot with Vidal scored an own goal. So they got off the wrong foot, and I guess it went downhill from there.
Because it's basically Brazil, and then it's everybody else playing for those next 4 spots, essentially.
Yeah.
There's basically like a 6-way tie, almost.
Yeah, Brazil has 33 points. Second place is Colombia with 24. And then Uruguay, Chile, both 23, and Argentina 22. Ecuador has 20. So, I mean, they're still in the fight. And just below them, Peru is 18 and Paraguay 18. Bolivia and Venezuela,
Paraguay is at 21 now, actually.
Yeah, those numbers are old, man.
Oh, those are, wait.
That was before the ties, all the ties that happened today. So Argentina.
So Colombia's at 25, Uruguay's at 24, Chile and Argentina at 23, and Paraguay's at 21.
Well, it's still at 1 point.
Yeah.
And Peru.
There's almost no difference.
Peru's winning 2-0 against Bolivia, so they're going to be up to 26. No, wait.
No, 20.
20.
21.
Peru?
21.
Peru has 18, so they'll probably be up to 21. So, I mean, that's...
Ecuador lost. So, I guess they go above Ecuador. Man,
so
they're hot in the heels of Argentina.
Yeah, I mean, you figure Argentina's going to do enough to pull it to get themselves in, but I mean, man, that's true hellish qualifying right there.
Yeah, this is to me it's the most difficult region.
It's weird though. I every time I was watching these games, I was thinking Mexico. I wonder what they would do. They would
be in there. They would be in the mix of those teams.
Yeah.
You know what? It depends. We would have to be at our best, and I think CONCACAF has given us a lot of bad habits where we dick around up until the point where things aren't looking gloomy, and then we get it together. And you just can't do that at CONMEBOL.
Well, keep in mind if they were playing in the same environment, not playing in. I mean, it'd be a totally different, scenario that they'd be experiencing. So, as far as just looking at the teams and as far as just general quality, I can't see I don't see a whole lot of difference between most of those teams. So I definitely think they'd be at least in the mix. They would be guaranteed that they'd miss out on World Cups for sure, but I don't think they'd be, battling with Venezuela right now for the last place.
They were the Argentina Uruguay game was some rough stuff. They were ripping Messi up, tearing up his jersey. And,
well, those qualifying games over there are no joke, man.
Yeah, that was some intense stuff.
And that's another thing too that I think would benefit Mexico. Just the intensity of the games. I think not to say that the CONCACAF qualifiers aren't intense because the hacking is definitely there, but I think the quality is still lacking. So you get the best of both worlds. You get that intensity, the physical play, but you also have the quality that they still bring to the game as well. So it forces these teams are much more battle tested going into the World Cup. That's for sure.
Well, Argentina is a lifeline because they play Venezuela. They host Venezuela, so I'm expecting something brutal to go there. It's not going to be pretty. And Paraguay hosts Uruguay. No easy game. Chile hosts Ecuador.
Who wins the Battle of the Wise usually?
Uruguay. They got the biter. They got Suarez, so
Chompers.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Messi and Suarez officially that they're going to bid for the 2030 World Cup as a joint bid?
Oh yeah, I saw a jersey. I didn't see too much into it, but
they make the half jerseys over there too.
No, it's like it was two separate jerseys with I think with the date.
No, they're numbers.
The numbers.
The numbers of the year, 20 and 30. So they wore their jerseys.
With a number 20 on one jersey and a 30 on the other.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I mean, I would like to go to South America. Check that out.
Oh, that would be one for sure. I would try to make it too. It's one of the things that at least that I was concerned about is language. Like, I'd be kind of weird to go to Russia or to Qatar. Like, how am I going to talk to anyone? I don't think everyone speaks English.
Wait, 2030. Am I going to be alive?
Come on, man! Don't talk like that. We're all gonna be.
Am I going to be 93 or something?
I mean, I probably will have already gone through my fifth Achilles surgery, but so what though? We're gonna be moving. We're gonna be alive.
Yeah,
I'm hoping, man, because we also have the Olympics that I want to go to in LA.
That would actually be a really cool World Cup to attend, the one in Argentina, Uruguay. I would be totally.
In Paraguay.
Oh, so it's gonna be Paraguay too? Uruguay,
Yeah.
Paraguay, Argentina.
Yes.
See, why don't they just make the next? Seriously, I think to make the World Cup a huge success in South America, why not play it in the entirety of South America? Why not play a couple of games in Lima? I know that Ron, if Ron was listening, he'd probably have a heart attack because I know that, and then Cole, you kind of both want to have it in the same country. But,
yeah.
You know.
No, yeah, the host can just stay in their home country. But I don't see any other way they could do it. Very few countries are going to be able to host so many teams. And then there's going to be a lot of petardo teams. I don't see who's going to pay to watch some of these games.
When Tunisia, well, that's it. Yeah, but I know what you mean. When Honduras plays Uzbekistan.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of those games, especially with the group of three.
You know what the sad reality is about those games? Is, people always trash, I'm not going to watch that. And then, of course, you end up watching anyway. And it ended up being the most entertaining game of the whole tournament. Like, do y'all remember, I think it was Tunisia, Saudi Arabia in the 2006 World Cup?
No, I did not watch that, John.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people say, I'm not going to, I watched it. It was outstanding. It wasn't like the quality of soccer was terrific, but the game was extremely entertaining. It was end-to-end action. They both wanted to win. It was the one game they figured if we have to win this one, and then we'll take our chances against one of the other ones. So they were both just desperate to win. It was just a great game. It was very entertaining.
I'm not a big fan of these whole joint bids because I think ultimately everybody kind of gets cheated the full experience, I guess. But I guess just with so few being played that they're willing to just share it, I guess.
But with these extra teams, I think it's impossible for one country to host it, right? You just need.
Right. It's going to be the future. I bet you we're going to see more joint. We'll probably see a joint bid for the next one that goes to Europe, which won't be, I guess, till 2034. So we'll see. Spain and Portugal bid.
Now, has the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, have they officially put in their bid?
They have. But they're going up against Morocco.
So
Morocco by themselves.
And the amount of games being allocated to each country has already been decided as well?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's officially been decided, but I don't know if that's like official, this is how it's going to be. But at least when they announced that they were doing the bid, it was, 60-10-10 split.
Wait, say that again?
I think it should have been, it was a 60-10-10 split.
60-10-10?
Yeah. Out of the 80 games, the U.S. gets 60, Panama gets 10, and Mexico gets 10.
All group games or something?
Well, just there's 80 games in the.
I'm saying, like, which one's
matches.
Yeah, that's.
Everyone complained when it wasn't announced.
Yeah, no, I just remembered. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, better for us, I suppose. We're here, so it'll be easier for us to travel to try to travel to games and such. But definitely try to go to Canada. But no, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that they were doing that over in South America too. That'd be fantastic.
Well, yeah, because Joel is right. I don't even know how Argentina and Uruguay can handle that kind of turn.
I'm assuming they're going to have to go and build all kinds of stadiums.
Yeah, the majority of the Argentine stadiums are run down.
That's probably true for the other two countries too.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of money being poured in.
They're going to have to. And I don't know
that's what sucks, though. That's what sucks about the World Cup now. It's because they make it so difficult because of the crazy stadium requirement. And don't get me wrong, I think that there obviously should be some safety measures, and I get that. But seriously, there's nothing wrong with some. They're just. Are they all seaters? No. Or do they have this? No.
And we don't even look at the stadium. The match is on the field.
Right.
They forced these stadiums to be built in Brazil and in South Africa, and a lot of these aren't even being used. And
it's not just that, Joel, but the stadiums although the ones in South Africa actually did look a little different. But like the ones that they built for Brazil, those games could have been. Like when Mexico plays Croatia, 3-1, and you're watching the game, that game could have been.
John cut
there
out.
was nothing about that that said it was in Brazil.
Yeah, And you know, it's kind of funny seeing what's going on with some of those stadiums where one of them is being used as a bus depot. Another stadium, you could rent it out for quinceañeras or parties or weddings. I mean, and I just think like, man, it'll be cool to play a cascarita right there, you know, in a World Cup venue. Just rent it out for like the hour or whatever.
We talking about it. I'd want to get married there.
Yeah, and one of the stadiums even had squatters. Had squatters living in there. Oh man,
Where is this in Brazil?
yeah, in Brazil they built one over there by the Amazon jungle, and it's like no team plays there, like no first division team, and the team that's from that area is just too small to maintain it, so it's just empty.
I want to do a Google satellite and try to see what's up with it.
And then they try to use the stadiums like for events, like concerts. But even then, they found it was cheaper just to rent other venues. So they're not even being used for that.
Now, if and when it comes to the U.S., it'll probably obviously LA will get some games or at least one. Are they just gonna do it at the Rose Bowl, or do you think they'll use the new
At
stadium?
least getting the new
Oh, they
stadium.
will
And,
absolutely use the new stadium.
How big is that gonna be?
The Rose Bowl does not meet FIFA requirements anymore because you have to have an all-seater, and the Rose Bowl still has benches, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it an all-seater, Dan? Well, you guys have seen games, I never have.
no, it has benches. The last time I was there, it had benches.
Yeah, so if it has benches, the Rose Bowl is out, unless they renovate them.
And
Which,
they
frankly,
need a separate elevator for what's his face.
for Infantino. Do you think that'll still be in the?
He's gonna need a separate elevator to come in and go out.
Well, I have a separate elevator at the house. So I'm sure. Dan, I'm sure you do too. I mean, that's just the thing. You know, you can get it in a Sharper Image catalog. Yeah, so you're right, Dan. LA get a game.
How's the stadium looking, Joel?
In the mix.
Oh,
does it look nearly done?
I've only seen it from far, but you could already see like it's taking shape now. Because for a long time they were just breaking ground and just setting it up, but now you're beginning to see like the structure and how it's gonna look. And it's funny because they have the logo. It's gonna be a Bank of California Stadium, and it's like the logo kind of looks like Trump's peluca. I'm not kidding. I'm like Google Bank of California Stadium, and that's what it looks like.
We're all doing that now.
That's funny.
You seen it?
Now, have the World Cup in the U.S. I would have to think that the final would be in Washington because they do have that very nice 90,000 seats they can play in. So that'll undoubtedly either that or and it also has grass. See, now that's the other thing that I think that the U.S. is going to have a problem with because a lot of the NFL stadiums now have field turf instead of natural grass. There are very few NFL stadiums now that have natural grass, and that's obviously where these games are going to be played. So, that do have that natural grass, I think are going to be at an advantage in order to get a decent amount of games. I mean, they might play them obviously they're going to play in New York, but New York may only get 3 or 4 games just because their field is going to be so. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on as well.
Just want to talk about anything else as far as qualifiers, or want to talk? I don't know.
Eliminatorias, just maybe Osorio's impending doom think adding Dennis and then Torrado. I think that might be one of their first jobs. To put JCO in check. So I do think
And Torrado doesn't start until November, so he doesn't start, I'm assuming, until after the hexagonal tournament is over, and hopefully Mexico won't have to play that fourth place game.
For us doomsayers though, say the Panama match just looks sloppy. We win, but it looks sloppy, and then the team loses at San Jose, Costa Rica. They could be giving him the thanks, provided they already got some guy lined up. But we can't ignore that there's a group already pushing for Osorio to be ousted. And there's another.
What a surprise!
Yeah, and they made it known, just a little bit different than before. Where before they weren't so upfront about it. You would hear rumors about certain owners, but never like there's a team meeting, type of thing.
Right.
And there's another thing with that's going on. I don't know if it will play into it, but it has to do with TV deals. And I hear that Azteca could be close to losing Santos and Puebla. TV rights.
Yeah.
Who would they go to, Joel?
Not sure. I mean, I don't. It's gonna be next year. And it was something we've talked about before, John, with the whole new televisoras coming in. You have Grupo Imagen, and then who signed a couple teams. I think they signed León and Pachuca, and then a Slim Station, which I don't know if it's already gone on air, which would be Claro TV.
No, it's on because they have a bunch of shows, and I think Grupo Imagen also has Querétaro.
Yeah, and also I want to point out because before in Mexico, the only two on air free on air was Televisa and TV Azteca. You didn't need cable or satellite to get those channels, and that was the only two stations. But just this year, Mexico expanded to four free-to-air TV stations. So obviously that football's a big selling point.
I mean, Televisa had 5 channels, and Azteca had 3.
Yeah,
so, but it's 2 companies.
Yeah, 2 companies.
No, I mean, again, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Liga MX needs to aggregate their television deal so that everybody benefits from it, not just each individual team.
Yeah, and
if there's going to be this many more players involved, then yeah, they absolutely have to come up with a league-wide deal. That way, everybody gets to be everywhere. It makes the most sense.
Yeah, and here's the whole, and they're still trying to shake down some teams because the last we heard, Lobos WAP hasn't been able to get. They're not trying to give him money because they're not taking him that serious. They don't expect the team to last, so they haven't been able to sign. They're getting they're not getting bigger. But I mean, can you blame them? They couldn't even fill up their stadium in their inaugural historic first Liga MX match. I mean, they know that the ratings are going to come with just a handful of teams. When they face America, when they face Chivas, when they face,
I don't know. I guess that's where I think that maybe the league should be a little bit more involved. Because don't you want the team to do well? I mean, they're in the league, so you want I figured you want them to succeed at least, even if it is just one season. It just seems odd. Like they're.
I think no, because that means your team is protected. The little team is the one going down each year. Then the odds of the bigger clubs staying is it improves.
That's Mickey Mouse, man.
So that's one of the reasons they're pushing for, and from what I've heard is that it's actually TV Azteca that's pushing to get rid of the relegation for a couple of years. And I heard that one of the reasons is because, two of their teams now are with relegation problems, which is Atlas
So that's
and Morelia.
I cannot believe I didn't make that.
Heard it here first, folks.
If they got rid of relegation, man,
I'm gonna switch to MLS. I'm gonna switch to MLS, dude.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I would seriously consider maybe not watching.
If they get rid of relegation?
Yeah.
This is corrupt Mickey Mouse stuff, man.
Yeah, it is.
If it's a small team and your Chafflas is about to be relegated.
But again,
not to mention that the relegation system already favors these teams.
Well, they say that your team will be devalued by up to 30 million, or you will lose somewhere in that region if your team drops. So that's a lot of shekels that TV Azteca will be losing, man.
That's why I firmly believe that I think that it's going to happen, but I think that it's going to happen with more. I think that they're going to bring teams back, and then they're going to go ahead and close it off and just.
Weren't we at 24 at one point, John?
Yeah.
Or 20, 24 or 20.
Because they had 4 groups of 6 when they did the grupos.
Yeah. I mean, they should just do that, add more teams. I mean, it's working in Argentina. They got 30.
Honestly, I think that beats getting rid of relegation altogether. Increase the number of teams.
Yeah, because that way you can bring back Atlante, you can bring back
Irapuato.
You can bring back Irapuato.
And it'd also be nicer, too, if there were more teams and maybe actually drop 2 teams at least to make it a little bit more interesting, too. I think that would make it a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
to me, I guess.
Well, the problem is that they need to make promotion more of a prize. Like in the English Premier League. Now, I'm not comparing the leagues, but the English Premier League aggregated their television contracts, right? So everyone gets a piece. So when a team comes up from the Championship into the Premier League, they're getting a gigantic chunk of money. Now, obviously, they're not going to have that kind of TV cut, but I mean, they have to be able to give. It has to be some kind of reward, and they shouldn't even have to negotiate their TV contract. See, that's the problem. Okay,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, geez, the fact that they have to negotiate, I mean, it's criminal that they have to do that. I mean, if they're a university, then put it on the web. Let the kids do it on a TriCaster. At least have something on there. But anyway, so if they're going to keep promotion relegation, they have to give. And yeah, it's going to suck if your team goes down. Well, guess what? Then don't put your team in position to go down. Then you don't have to worry about it. But it should be. I mean, like UDG when they came up a couple years ago. I mean, they came up and they were totally bankrupt, and so they had no choice but to play 1 year and then be. And then that. But I do think that would be another team expanded to 24. The Leones Negros would be back in Liga MX for sure.
What do you do to the Liga? Do you shorten it to 4 teams?
Oh no, you still make it 24, and then you make it 18. At least a little.
Because you gotta try to reduce the number of games, though, don't you?
Well, then you just have one season.
Yeah.
You have one season and then a Liguilla. But then you can also have a cup, the cup tournament, because let's face it, there's going to be 24. There's going to be 28 MLS teams. That would be one hell of a cup. I'm telling y'all, that would be, again, I'll beat this drum as loud as I can. That to me would be the best cup tournament that Mexico could play, is a straight one-off against the MLS, and just, wherever the chips fall, just do it, just play it.
That'd be fun.
Great. You're playing home, great. You're playing away, whatever, and just play it. And just wherever the chips fall, So
And
hopefully
what,
that'll
just
be
to
coming down
make
the
it
pipe.
some kind of monetary prize or what?
Well, yeah, but I mean, think of the team. Think of. See, again, think of the TV rights for a tournament like that, and especially if it gets. And then think about what Joel and I have been talking about with Mexican players playing in MLS. It would be a ratings hit on
Well, no,
both sides of the border.
I'm thinking. What was it last season when Galaxy played Santos, and it was Gio's first time going up against a Mexican team. I think
Right.
everybody was licking their chops.
Is that when they call him a borracho?
Yeah.
Which of your teammates did that, John? I mean, Dan.
It was Marchesín,
Oh my
who's a
goodness.
Huila now. So that was great.
Borracho.
Gio almost got the last laugh against him.
It was like the lamest insult. Like, that's what you're gonna call him, borracho?
Didn't you go to that game, Dan? Weren't you in the stands?
Yeah. I went to one of the games. I told you guys I celebrated a non-goal as a goal. That's visual. Right. Yeah.
You're a borracho, weren't you?
No. I had a long drive back home, so no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't hang out with Gio?
No. This is before I didn't know he was hanging out at Denny's. So otherwise, there's one right across the street from there. But no. But I do think that that cup competition is looking more attractive the more Mexican players that are in the MLS.
Absolutely.
I mean,
you're
already
absolutely right.
Just with too bad the Galaxy aren't doing very well because yeah, he still hasn't won, right?
Yeah. Who, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Galaxy are just terrible. Joel, you live in LA. What? Con el Galaxy, Joel. Good Lord.
Well, they got rid of the coach, which, didn't get rid of him, but he left to coach the U.S.
Well, he retired after last year, right?
And
Didn't Arena retire?
I don't think so, man. I think he just went to. He went for the.
No, he retired. No, he did not go from Galaxy to.
I could have sworn he left the Galaxy to go to the U.S.
Yeah, me too. But regardless, just look at with the Nats, he's undefeated. And I think that was a big blow. And then they did a bit of a switch up with the players.
You know what? He hasn't played any competition either. So let's pump the brakes on that.
The JCO effect.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, and then they changed up the squad. So I think the coach they brought in, I don't know what the dude's name was, and then some of the player changes, I think it's been taking them a while to, sentarse bien.
Now, does their poor results, do they get any kind of attention at all? Like during the sports wrap up, like in the local news, does it get much attention on
Oh, I have no idea, man. I don't really watch. I watch spicy soccer every now and then other news such as the radio,
Yeah, I'm just curious to see.
On the local radio.
Huh?
They don't talk about it on the local ESPN Deportes shows.
I think they have like
Galaxy rather.
They have a Galaxy show, but I don't know when it comes on.
I still tune into my sports show from LA, and every once in a while they'll get a mention. But yeah, they. So I was just wondering if so they can suck as much as they want, and no one will know any. No one will be any. No one will even know. Will be aware of it. They'll just know who they are.
That's they it's unfortunate. But I mean, I got to think, for Galaxy fans, I mean, the Galaxy, for lack of a better term, have been the Club America of MLS. I mean, they're the most liked and most hated team. They've won the most. I mean, their fans are not used to stuck in this bad. It's just not. It's not.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, did any of you guys have the ice cream man pass through your at 9:00 at night?
You know what though?
Any little kids running out to buy a junior flip at this hour?
We're in the middle of a heat wave though right now, so
They're a welcome addition.
yeah, you know, right now like I'm thinking a lot of the houses in LA probably don't have air conditioning, so
You need a soft serve.
So on a hot night like tonight, I mean, yeah, a little soft serve.
What is it like? Is it a scorching 75 day?
No. Let me check how hot it is. It's probably still 90.
Seriously? Oh my god!
It's 88 degrees here in Escondido.
Wow!
Still,
it is. My car says it's 79 degrees.
Oh yeah, no man, we've had triple digits for several days now.
So I have driven. I'm almost home. I have driven by 6 gas stations on the main artery to my house, and all 6 of them are totally capped out.
With cars in line, you mean?
No, there's no. They have bags over the bags over the spigots. They are out.
They'll be good on Monday.
Yeah. Well, see, my problem is that I have to go to San Marcos twice, and then I got to go back to Dallas on Sunday. So I need gas.
You just have to say, "Hey, man, I can't. Ran out of gas."
No, I personally cannot. Yeah, but everybody's out.
But you guys are good in your area, though, right?
Not in my area.
No, this is a statewide thing, man. This is people are, and then of course the idiot news said there's a gas shortage, so everyone just panicked, and there's no gas shortage. It's ridiculous. But because they bought all the gas, now there's a shortage.
No, there's none.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
And you guys have it tough over there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hey guys, my battery's gonna die, so I'm gonna go ahead and step off. Because I have no.
Well, it's probably a good time, John, because you're breaking up also. So, but thanks a lot for joining us, though, buddy.
Sure, we'll
appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm sure the listeners missed you as well.
Hey, one note in Liga MX action, real quick.
Yeah.
The great Chivas team went up a spot. They're now in second to last.
Second to last, penultimate goat.
Yep.
So who's in last?
Puebla. They're making progress. Chivas is.
Hey man, we're not the worst is a fun chant, dude.
But you know what? So they got 5 points. And they are 8th would be Liguilla. So Veracruz is in 8th with his 10 points.
Or 5 points away.
Yeah, which is 2 games.
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
You win 2 games and you could potentially be in.
Yeah, like the reason I was so negative on my team is just because of how poor they actually looked. I mean, where for the most part they've shown, and I don't know, I haven't seen much of Chivas play this season, but I don't know if they've looked similarly bad. So I'm like, they're never gonna win, man. Not like this. So they looked a little bit better even against Chivas. I thought there were signs. So maybe all is not lost, but for sure and we all know that these teams they're gonna drop points, most of them. I mean, Monterrey seems to be wanting to running away with it. I'm still not convinced that they're gonna be champions.
Yeah, Chivas next 2 games they're playing teams that aren't doing good. So if they win, oh wait, I thought I was looking at Puebla. My bad. This is Pachuca. they go play to Pachuca, which I don't doesn't look too favorable. And then they host Pumas, and the stat is now John left. He left on cue, but
Yeah.
Pumas has never won in Guadalajara. I like in 30 years or something.
See.
So I mean, and then they're doing pretty bad right now. So I mean, that sucks for them. And
The top
so wait then Chivas goes to America. So I mean, by that Clásico, if Chivas hasn't done too good and America beats Chivas, they could probably end their season right there.
That would be Ronnie's dream. But
That could.
and these top teams are stacked though. Like they're doing like Monterrey, America, Tigres are doing really well. And so even if Chivas were to get in Liguilla, it's gonna be tough.
No, yeah, I think if they get Liguilla, no. Right now, obviously Monterrey are favorites. I think America should also be favorites, even though Ron said that they're not.
But
Tigres,
I think for
of
Chivas
course.
though, if they could get into the Liga, you have to consider that a success, considering
Oh yeah, of course.
the players they were missing, either for the Gold Cup, the lack of preparation for the preseason, injuries.
Yeah,
Just the overall bad start. Yeah.
that's why it doesn't bother me that, or like I've seen some Chihuahua fans talking about hitting the panic, and it's like, what were you expecting, man? Just seeing how the preseason was unfolding, like it's kind of dumb to not expect the team to struggle. You know, it's.
Now, do you think if Ronnie was on, I'd be curious to see what he thought about this. But do you think they're getting a pass?
Wait, who's getting a pass?
Chivas. Because
no. I mean, it's it's perfectly normal for given all the stuff that happened.
yes, normal, yes, but like the expectations and the constant pressure and the constant expectations to do well. So I'm sure he would
No,
be saying that if this was
Almeida
America,
oh, that was Ame.
yeah, that they'd
Yeah,
be
it depends the
crucifying.
coach. I also think it depends the coach because I mean, under the same conditions, if it was America after having won a doblete, and then I think people would be more forgiving. So that's part of it. The team just won a couple championships, and we're talking about a team that had gone 10 years of just dry spell. So I mean, I don't think the Chivas fans should even complain or even be worried at this point.
Now, do you still think he leaves at the end of the season?
If he gets a good offer, yeah, going by what his agent's been saying, he's just waiting for a good offer to come along so that he could leave. But if it doesn't, then I could see him just staying because he's getting good money, and he could get a potential second vitrina, which would be at the Clubs World Cup.
Yeah, I think he should stay. I said it before that if he doesn't do well this season and next, there's no way he should take the national team. It's not looking that he is going to do good. So
let's look at Santos, Dan. We might be able to tell if they could turn the tide.
I've lost hope for Santos, man. After watching them, even
well, they're gonna have a bit more bumpy road. They host Toluca, then they play away to Cruz Azul, then they host Necaxa, then they play away to Monterrey, and then it finally gets a bit easy when they host Puebla and Chaflas. So I mean, and then they go away to Querétaro. So the end of the season they could.
But they could easily lose to all those teams you just mentioned.
Yeah, but if they pull a couple points and then finish strong, because you're
Well, this
playing a
this
bunch
league
of
is
weak
crazy.
teams.
I mean, you never know what. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they beat Monterrey. I mean, to be honest with you.
Well,
Uh,
well, remember one of the seasons with I think it was Travieso Guzman, and he had Tijuana, and they were like undefeated for like the first half of the season. They were like unbeatable at home,
yeah,
and they were like a runaway train, and everyone was like already talking about they were pretty much giving them the campeonato already.
yeah, they didn't
And
even qualify.
yeah, and then the second half of the season they just crashed pretty bad, and then we haven't heard of Travieso since. I don't think we've even seen him. I don't know what.
Which is a shame. I actually think he's a underrated coach. He's good. I I mean, I loved him when he was with Santos. I thought he was great. Took us out of a relegation, got us a championship. He was good.
Yeah, he's.
But I
We
feel like
should
that
do.
about a lot of coaches. I mean, granted, I mean that's a gigantic failure right there. Like, and maybe that was the right decision to fire him. But overall, I think some coaches they tend to they get labeled as bad coaches. But I mean, how are you going to be a good coach when you're coaching Jaguares?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty. I think Mexican league is something I've argued, and it's that like we don't value our own like the local talent, and even with like Mexico coaches, you have someone like Tena won the Olympics. He won the last championship Cruz Azul had. He's the one that did it. And he's just well experienced, and he can't get a job. And Leon didn't give him a fair shot, you know. I think if they would have held on to him, they would be better off than they currently are. They rather hire Torrente, who was Bielsa's Uber driver, and then you have like Galindo, you know, another player that
That was one I was going to mention.
yeah,
Galindo,
you
proven
know,
winner.
yeah. After he left Santos, he couldn't find a job. He was coaching, I think, a third division team in the U.S. And now he's assistant, which I find kind of funny. You know, you go back to the team you make campeones, but as the assistant, you know, he's setting up orange cones now. He used to
Yeah, no, it's
he
almost
used to
beneath
sit
him.
behind the desk, and now he's just setting up the orange practice cones. So it kind of sucks, and you have Travieso there that you know just a vast experience and everything, and can't find the job, and they keep bringing in these foreign coaches. And I'm not saying don't bring him, but a lot of them that they bring are inexperienced.
And not to
And
mention, a lot of these guys are given a lot more slack.
yeah, I mean some do good, like Almeida obviously, but then you have the Torrentes and a host of others that
Well, Paco Gemes right
just
now. I mean, how many coaches get that much time?
yeah he got a
And to
and
be as
they
combative as he is with the media,
and they've been bringing all the players that he's needed.
so like at what point are they actually held accountable? I mean, it just seems that they get a lot more benefit of the doubt. I don't know if it's maybe because they're investing more to begin with, and they're just more expensive. So they're like, hey, we're already paying this guy a lot of money. Let's just try to ride it out, and maybe they'll turn things around. But it just seems that. I mean, we talked about this. I mean, your boy Chepo, dude, is a prime example of how he was given less time uh, before he got the hook than Almeida did, and
Oh,
obviously
but that
Almeida
was politics,
benefited.
though, man. That's that was Higuera wanting complete control. I mean, I don't think it was so much the results. Uh, I think that was just the politics of some dude came in and you know he needed to be the shot caller, not have the De La Torres.
But I mean, just keep in mind that like America gave La Volpe a chance ahead of those guys. A guy who'd basically done nothing for almost a decade, I guess. If not, has it been a
Oh,
decade already?
yeah, La Volpe, and he's still trying to coach. Last I heard, he got turned down for the Leon offer. He offered his services, and they said thank you, but no, no thanks. The other guy is Buse, and from what I heard, they tried to shortchange him. They offered him less money, and Buse is King Midas, man. He's like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna devalue myself. And he did give Querétaro a campeonato. Granted, Copa MX, but it's their first ever
But still, yeah, no, it's
championship.
their only silverware that they've ever won.
And
So that's like it's huge.
for first division, yeah, yeah. So it kind of sucks to see him, not working. And but and that's the thing, because like if we don't give chance to our own coaches, like no one else will, you don't, because we don't see it. You don't see Mexican coaches just showing up. It's very rare. We've had like maybe two or three go to MLS, which was De Los Cobos, and we had what's his name, dude from Puebla, um, Chelis,
Yeah.
and one more. I can't remember what the other guy was. Didn't last very long, but I think ultimately we just need to have more of our players coaching.
No, one thing that I do hope that we get, if and when some of these younger guys do win early, I hope that they try to go elsewhere and leave Mexico. That would be kind of like what Aguirre did, where he went to coach in Spain. That I think that's another thing too that I think Mexican coaches. I mean, obviously they need to be more prevalent in Mexico, but to seeing them coach in other leagues, I think that'll help as well.
Yeah, they need to try their luck outside. Which I think that's one of the reasons why more players should go to MLS, because ultimately then a lot of those are going to end up becoming coaches.
Yeah.
And but that's I don't know if you guys heard Piojo, and he was talking about going to Europe. Yeah, he still has that hope.
Gosh, didn't he get like quite a few offers right after the World Cup?
He said Chile, not right after the World Cup, but sometime soon. He said Chile, and I don't know what other team. But I heard him in an interview.
I almost don't believe him. Like, I think he's got his dream gig.
Yeah.
And I think the only other is like he's got two dream gigs, and like he's sitting in one of them, and then he got fired for throat punching a guy from his other dream job. He should go though, because I think he became like a global phenomenon on some level, like especially during the World Cup. I mean, everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
So he became a very popular figure. I think he translates his energy translates well.
Yeah, and I mean the only guy we've had was Aguirre, and he did good. He did good. His numbers weren't bad. He took he did really good with Osasuna. Took him to a Copa del Rey final. Qualified him to European Championship. I don't know which one. I forget. Hace años. He qualified Atletico because he was part of the early revival of Atletico. Because it's around the time Gil died, and he got them back into the Champions League, which they hadn't been for years. So I mean, he's doing pretty good. And he got wrapped up in all that shenanigans, all the match fixing scandal. It's kind of tarnished him a bit.
Yeah, I still don't really know the details of that one, because I was actually excited when he got named the coach for Japan. I thought the way they went about choosing him made a lot of sense to me.
And they fired him for that reason, for that scandal stuff. They just didn't didn't know what was going to happen, and they didn't back him up, so they let him go.
Yeah, they didn't want to deal with whatever comes with that cloud. But I definitely think that when they chose him, they're like, we look at other teams that play in a way that we play like or want to play like, and Mexico is like the team that best covers that, and so like let's get him. I always thought I always thought it made sense because I do think that our style of play, of Mexico in particular, does look a lot like South Korea and Japan with a lot of passing.
Oh man, yeah.
But yeah, unfortunate for him that he wasn't able to see that one. Is he done now coaching?
He was in Qatar, I believe, and he won a cup. He won a cup tournament, and then he decided to come back. I don't know if he came back to Spain or to Mexico, but he decided not to stay in the Middle East anymore. Not sure if he's retired though.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
And his name was cleared. The
was
Spanish,
it really?
the Spanish court did the final ruling, and they found no one guilty. This was a match fixing scandal in regards to getting a team or saving a team from relegation. So they're saying that he threw a result to help a team.
Stay, yeah.
And but they ruled in his favor. So let's see where he ends up next.
So this was recently resolved.
Yeah, if I'm a CONCACAF team, I would go after El Vasco. You're like in Honduras, even like a Guatemala, possibly Costa Rica. I think he's a good coach. He'll get it done.
That's a step down for him, though.
What?
That's a step down.
You go back to the World Cup, man.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean,
what's he gonna do though? I mean, I think once you start coaching, to coach your country's national team is one thing, but at least I don't know. The typical pattern is you coach clubs and then you coach national teams when you're kind of toward the end of your coaching career. And and he did a ton of coaching with clubs, and I think him going back to Mexico and then going to Japan, I think that's a sign of him kind of pulling it back.
No, but I mean, it offers you more free time because that's one thing that he talked about. He talked about not having enough time or just missing having all this time with his family. And if you're a national team coach, you're afforded more free time because it's every other month.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to stay in the country. And if you're nearby in like Central America, then it's like just 4-hour flight. So I mean, why not? Plus it helps our image for having more coaches out there. I mean, CONCACAF, there's more Colombians all over CONCACAF, and it's like, why can't it be us? Nothing against the Cafeteros, but I mean, this is our region, dude. We should be dominating it.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. But
yeah, I agree. It should be. It should
CONCACAF's our bitch. We should decide who's there, man. This is our home. Someone else took it from us, but we should have in just our presence, and with other teams. I mean, it might bite us a bit in the ass as far as like how when the teams play Mexico, but I mean, we shouldn't be worried just because the overall level of talent and quality, it's still to our favor.
I think it just when you see, so at least the impression that I get when I see the entire region being coached by Colombians, I'm thinking, wow, Colombia's producing a lot of good coaches.
Yeah, I mean, because look at like when you look at CONMEBOL, and you would have couple of those national teams being coached by Argentines,
Yeah.
So it's like we should be the same. We shouldn't menospreciar some of these smaller teams. And I mean, you get to take a team to the World Cup. That's not an everyday thing.
And that's one thing that I got to say, your chances are probably still better if you're in CONCACAF than in CONMEBOL.
Oh, dude, four tickets and a half a ticket, and it's gonna be more now with the 48. Think of what that does to your resume.
So yeah, I mean,
You take it to, and then you get another offer or a better offer.
And all you have to do is be better than just, like you said, be the fourth best team. So it's like if you assume that it's going to be Costa Rica, the U.S., and Mexico, it's like, all right, you're going to tell me like the differences between those other teams is not that great.
Yeah. So I mean, we should, man, and you get a Jamaica or a Trinidad. But I think that's one thing that we should, and by we I mean Mexican, you know, should gun for to have more control of the region, more influence, and just showcase more our talent.
Are they coming back for seconds?
They took our jobs and they did they did take our jobs. Las menospreciamos, man. We thought they were beneath us, man. To be fair, and
I
we
do
didn't.
think there's that sense of superiority still with some. I personally think though that it would benefit all sides just for one, like if a Mexican can make the team better for them, good for them, and then good for Mexico too, because if anything, that improves the reputation.
Well, yeah, I mean,
If
you remember just De Los Cobos when he was with El Salvador,
yeah,
and they played pretty good. I mean, they made it to the hexagonal. I don't think they've made it since. And he had limited squad, but he had them playing pretty good.
but yeah, I mean, you think Mexico coach team, and he takes them to the World Cup, that elevates the image right there automatically.
Yeah, and
'Cause
Aguirre has 2 World Cups already under his belt. He's been bombero, so I mean, dude, if I'm Honduras, if I'm maybe Guate or I'll take a chance with him, man. He knows the region. He knows the main teams. Just let him work, because I know that's probably one of the hard part to win over the fans. Because I know sometimes there's a bit of like, they still see Mexico as the enemy. But if they see that you're working good, and ultimately the fans will give in, like with De Los Cobos, because I thought there might be hostility, and he was well liked, especially after they beat
well,
Mexico.
I think, but at the end of the day, the reason you get that fierce hate, it's because they're obviously are used to getting beat and having Mexico be the best. So it's not like they're unaware that, like, I mean, in the region, Mexico still is the team that everybody strives to beat, even ahead of the U.S. Even now, I don't think. I think it's still like, while the hate is real, I think it's based on respect, though. If that makes any sense. Anywho. Well, guys, I'm not sure. We've probably been at it for about 2 hours now. It's probably a
Yeah,
good time
ya
to
aburrimos.
end this sucker. So, but Beto, Joel, thank you for joining us, and John as well. My name is Daniel Preciado. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the CantinaMX Podcast. Please join us next week, where hopefully John will be back doing this, hosting Justice, as well as the toys that he has, because I'm missing. It's not the same hosting without the drops.
What's that?
That's our that's our final outro music.
I did. Yeah, how can Dan get the drops? Does he need a computer program?
Yeah, I'll have to sort that out for maybe next time. But anyways, thank you everyone for joining us. Please, if we'll be on next Thursday, like always, and our episodes are available on iTunes and what else, Beto? On Google
Play.
Google Play.
Or app you have for listening to podcasts.
And then hopefully soon, the World Soccer Index.
Yeah.
We got our pinkies crossed there.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
So there is that. So for the CantinaMX Podcast, good night.